Yo, what is good, everybody? What is good, yo? With Black Clover truly knowing an audience and knowing how crazy fans can get at sometimes, I honestly respect this move that they took in this week's episode. They literally showed us that if they went into, let's say they took this whole episode out and they just put out the episode that's coming next week, it would have had a lot of weird things that needed explanation. But at the same time, there's always going to be people that are like, nah, all that stuff was stupid. Everything there, I didn't need to know it to enjoy it. It's like, okay, though, that's you. But on the flip side of all of this, we literally got a man last week that was just some random dude that supposedly could help Asta with a curse and his broken arms to be able to fight again. And all of a sudden, we're just supposed to accept that, and people would enjoy that type of content. Some magic guy that just magically appears, and we never knew about him. You would enjoy that. So, um, that's a huge reason why this episode is a very nice flesh out. Not only was it fleshed out, they also went ahead and said, hey, this is also how Asta learned how to control his sword, and this is how he learned some of his sword play. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't dumb enough to just say, hey, here's a backstory of how Asta learned how to swing a dang sword uh, ever since he joined or had his chance to go against the Magic Count to join the teams or whatever. But to put it lightly, they needed to flesh this new character out that can pretty much look like Yuno's dad at this freaking point. Um, I don't know if it was anyone else that thought that this guy might just reveal that he's, oh yeah, Asta, I'm your freaking dad, buddy. Hey, how you doing? I'm your pop. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you look like I'm guessing Asta looks like his mama. But to think that this guy was, completely going to be someone that seemingly was just going to pop out of the woodworks and we were going to get this huge explanation as to why he can help Asta, he knows about the curse, this, that. They're like, nah, we're going to give you the introduction to why Asta knows him. Here's that. All right, now that we're done with that, let's get into, we're gonna get into the everything that he does for Asta next week. And genius, genius, genius. Because now I can't wait to see what this guy actually is capable of, knowing that he's a person from the Diamond Army, the same army that pretty much is raising Mars at this point. He knows Mars. Sounds like he might feel a little bit guilty for putting Mars in the situation that he might have at least helped train a kid soldier, and to think that he bumps into Asta, the same kid who's going to then go and fight Mars and maybe show him that um, fighting for different reasons than what he was taught is actually not that bad of a thing to do. So it's almost like he saved himself by saving Asta with with Mars in general. But that's to be said, at the end of the series, if everything goes well for those two, because who knows at this point. I've seen I've seen animes have good endings, and I've seen animes have bad endings for these types of moments. So if it is what I think it could be pretty bad for our heroes. But this guy, seemingly in the previews, he seemingly everything that we learned in this episode, he put together some way to be able to have a conversation with a person from the Diamond Army again, seemingly the person that could have just killed his wife and didn't have the guts to tell him, which would be super jacked up. So that's in the air now. This guy pretty much ran away from, the only real reason we know he ran away is because he said he was done dealing with it. He's like, I don't want to be here and deal with, whatever they're putting up on us, so I'm going to go away from it. And he tried to do that, and they followed real close. So I'm just now curious to see who thinks that there's a chance of redemption for some of these characters when it comes down to all of the different ways they have, attacked and like made people evil. Do you think they're going to let this guy, free of what he's done, whatever in the diamond that he tried to run away from, seeing how he's been teaching hundreds of students, and we've seen how the guy with the black smoke is, who was like the older person with the Mars group in the dungeon raid. Like he really didn't care necessarily, but when it came down to losing the kid and knowing that that might bring him shame or, just bring him some trouble down the line, that was a clear indication to me that the kid was definitely worth more than they're letting off by, having him out there as quickly as they do. So to think that we got a fleshed out character from another kingdom, and not only is he kind of fleshed out, he still has a good amount of mystery about him in the sense of what could he do for Asta if he only really has like wind magic, like seemingly he could be Yuno's dad with how well he um, enveloped his sword, his a stick as a sword with wind and stuff like that. Imagine now um, putting that same ability in Yuno's hand, and on top of that, giving him the four-leaf clover book. So it's ridiculous to think that they might be hiding a lot of information with this character, which is completely fine because it's gonna make it that much better when we get to find out just who the heck this guy is, uh, and what he can actually do for the full-on story, if he is going to last long or if he's just going to be something they body off here soon. Who knows? But yeah, that's what kind of my thing with what's wrong with Tokyo Ghoul is Black Clover is not afraid to take this whole entire episode off of, its course, but still beyond the course in the same time as telling a story as who this person is, why they know each other. Oh, look, duels. And all of this, but instead they do it. It seemingly is about to pay off because they're about to meet up with this guy, and he's probably going to teach us different things that we haven't learned about either maybe Asta or the Diamond Kingdom in general. But clearly he has something to do with Asta because of his need all of a sudden now that we know what is happening to Asta, or that it's a curse nonetheless. So I'm just really happy we're getting more and more detailed towards this curse because they keep teasing us so much with these freaking opening songs and all these different little scenes of Asta with the red eye and just, oh my God, man, he looks so dope. So to think that they keep teasing us like that, man, it's gotta be coming up soon, hopefully. If not soon, sometime around in the future. But yeah, other than that, though, everybody, I hope you have a good day, night, morning, whatever the case it is when you're watching this. I definitely can't wait to see just how far Black Clover is going to go. I mean, not much else was really done this week besides Asta learning his, fighting stance that we all know and love. And to think that Asta might have learned more about his short sword fighting than the big sword that he was using is actually interesting as well to me because we get to see the sword that the guy puts around the stick that he forms. That was actually like the same exact size as the new sword he gets and wields. So it's cool, really cool that it's almost like another call. It's like two callbacks in one, because he examined how he was using it, how he was putting his weight into that, as well as everything he was teaching him on the fly. So I really enjoyed this episode, even though people are going to be furious. It was supposedly quote unquote filler. Um, but nonetheless, they did the thing that I wanted in Tokyo Ghoul, which is I wanted Tokyo Ghoul to be as fleshed out as possible. I wanted to know everything about these characters. I wanted to see some of the worst thing they went through, some of the best things they went through. But now with Black Clover, I feel like it's getting the closest to that treatment as possible right now. So hopefully we as a community can now be happy with it. But with that, everybody, I'll talk to you in the next one. All right. Peace.